Welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute devotional podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse. Broadcast from the ever-beautiful Sharonville, Ohio, on the sunny side of Cincinnati. Hey, welcome back to Daily Dose Radio today. This is your home for artisanal Bible study. It's baked fresh daily just for you. And all this week, we're trying to remind you about our Android app in the Google Play Store. Please go there. Look up Daily Dose Radio if you have an Android device, and you can download our app using your device, and you'll have Daily Dose Radio right there at your fingertips. This week we're in Psalm 81. Today I want to read for you verses 4 through 7. For this was a statute for Israel, and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony, when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden, his hands were delivered from the pots. Thou callest in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. Selah. That's verses 4 through 7 in Psalm 81. So yesterday we looked at how this is a festival time. Maybe it's a part of the liturgy of the Festival of Tabernacles. The people are coming together, the new moon time, the trumpets being blown, and they're preparing to celebrate this wonderful feast day. And we've had the voice of the psalmist up to this point. Now, in verses 4 and 5, we still have the voice of the psalmist. For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. Now, that's referring back up to the solemn feast day. This, again, going back to the solemn feast day, that's our antecedent. He ordained in Joseph for a testimony. The testimony was, if this was the Feast of Tabernacles, they were to be reminded of what God did in the wilderness experience, and both in delivering them from the slavery of Egypt and judging them in that they rejected his promise of the land of Palestine. And so that generation was destroyed because of it. So that testimony in Joseph was to be remembered every year during the Feast of Tabernacles. When he went out through the land of Egypt, who is the he there? The he there is God. So the psalmist is still speaking. He went out through the land of Egypt. Now remember, when God came down to deliver the people, he went through the land of Egypt judging their gods. Verse 5 again, where I heard a language I understood not. I think the psalmist is putting himself in the shoes of the folks that were alive at the time when God went through the land of Egypt. And this language that I understood not is not Egyptian, but it is the word of God being spoken by Moses. They had never heard that before. They had been 400 years in captivity. They had never heard the word of the Lord preached like it was being preached by Moses, and so this was something brand new to them. Now, in verse 6, we begin a wonderful section that'll take us all the way through verse 14 and the very last line of 16, and that is the song of the Lord, which begins right here. Notice, and you'll see this in the first person, which predominates this entire section. This is the Lord speaking. I removed his shoulder from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots. Who was he delivering? The people of Israel in Egypt. So this is remembering Egypt, because remember, Egypt is highlighted there in 5. God went out through the land of Egypt. The people were there, and there was a burden on their shoulder, and their hands were carrying the pots of the land of Egypt. Verse 7, Thou callest in trouble, and I delivered thee. I answered thee in the secret place of thunder. I proved thee at the waters of Meribah. So God has brought them out. He's answered them. He has delivered them. Let's put it in the right order. He has delivered them and answered them, and he has proved them. And Meribah refers to Numbers chapter 20. And the people are thirsty, and Moses and Aaron are told to go to the rock and speak to it, but instead they strike it in anger, or Moses does, strikes it with his rod twice in anger. And God rejects Moses from going and Aaron from going into the promised land, but he's glorified in the presence of the people of Israel despite Moses' disobedience. So they're proven at the waters of Meribah. So there's recollection of All that God has done up to that point is a part of this song. This is the redemption piece of the song. We're going to have the redemption, the covenant, the judgment, and then the possible future of promise in the song the Lord sings to Israel. Okay, well, I hope you'll join me tomorrow as we look at the covenant piece of the song on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. I'm David Smith. The music today has been performed by the Bluegrass Experiment. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next time on Daily Dose Radio.